Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Osborne. We are live. Oops, and I think I lost my light. Give me 1 second. I'm back. We're going to put that on the bloopers version of the Discover Chiropractic webpage there. So tonight is a really exciting time because it's the first Better Results Faster that we've actually done at home. And so this is a great opportunity for you to not only what's the word? Not only to learn, but to really enjoy yourself right now and to be able to just sit back and relax. And so we haven't quite figured out all this technical stuff. So you might not see me too much. I'm going to be jumping in and jumping out. But what I really want you to do is I want you to take a moment and we're just going to go through the Better Results Faster. Just stay till the end because I promise you, you're going to learn a lot. Let me pull up our Better Results Faster there. And I'm going to make sure that we are good to go. That's not what it's going to look like, I promise. All right, guys. So this, I think well, it looks like we got all excited. All right. So this is your 5 Essentials Equipping class. What's most important about the 5 Essentials Equipping class is this. It's about learning how to implement the 5 essentials into your life. We call it Better Results Faster because we're all going to get changes in our lives. And so we want to make sure the changes that you get in your life are the ones that you want. And if, you know, at a time like this, we have no time to waste. We want to make sure that we're moving through whatever is happening in this world and we get as healthy as we possibly can. So I think that the really 3 goals that I want you to own are this. Is number 1, you are extraordinary. You're amazing. You're incredible. You know, you came from a single sperm and an egg, and that sperm and an egg became you. I mean, think about that. That you have 2 cells that became 72 trillion cells. And what that means is this: is that you are brilliant, powerful, and there is something incredible on the inside of you. What we have to remember, though, is how did you get that way? And so what we know is this, is that the very first thing that's formed in you was your nervous system. First thing that was formed was your spinal cord, then your brain was formed, and then the bones to protect, the armor to protect your spine, which is your lifeline, were formed. And in that process, once that was in place, the nerves started to grow from the spinal cord and the organs started to grow from the nerves. And who you are today is a direct result of your nervous system. And who you are going to be tomorrow is going to be a direct result of your nervous system. The third thing that I want you to own is this, is that you are responsible for your health. Nobody else is responsible. Nobody else is in charge of your health. No matter where you go, no matter where you are, you're going to be the only one there. And the choices that you make are going to be determined whether you're healthy or sick. You know, a lot of times people are saying, I'm taking responsibility for my health by staying home. Fantastic. The great news is that you are taking responsibility. And so what I want you to do is that sometimes the biggest response, you know, doing nothing is worse than doing something at all. Okay. So if your action step you have right now is just staying home, fantastic. If your action step moving forward is next time I'm going to the store, I'm going to now apply some of the things that I learned in this Better Results Faster class, and we're going to eat better, or we're going to start exercising. Either way, it's the small steps that we take over time. Now, what you're going to find is this is we're not going to get too technical right now, but I just want to, you know, for me, the biggest thing is headspace, you know, where, you know, because our thoughts determine our actions. And so what we think will determine the actions that we take and where we're going to be in. So I can use this coronavirus right now as a really important idea or a concept. There's 2 concepts right now. That one is probability and one is possibility. So there is a probability that green Martians will land on planet Earth sometime. But there's the possibility that they'll actually do that is very low. Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense to you. Now, the other thing is this, is that not only do we have probability and possibility, but the probability that you'll actually get the coronavirus and die from it is very low. There's a possibility of it. Now, here's the thing what we have to look at is how we're going to live our lives. Are we going to live our lives based on probability or possibilities? And so the probability is that the average person, you know, their healthy life expectancy is 69 years old. They die at 79 years old. They spend the last 10 years fighting heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and Alzheimer's. You got a 1 out of 2 chance of having diabetes, 2 out of 3 chance of like heart disease. Like if you take heart disease, cancer, and Alzheimer's, you get basically a 5 out of 5 chance of actually having one of those conditions here in the United States there. So that's the probability. And the problem, now there's a different thing, is if you do the opposite of what everybody else does, the possibility is very different, meaning that you have the possibility to live to 120 years. You have the possibility to have an extraordinary health. You have a possibility to, to have, like, to be able to know your great grandkids there. You have the possibility that one day you'll have an amazing day and then you just don't wake up the next day. You don't have to spend, the probabilities that the average American over 65 is taking, 6 or more medications on a daily basis, filling 31 prescriptions. There is a possibility that if you're healthy, that doesn't have to be your life there. Probability is that problems will arise. And the possibility is almost 100% that problems will arise. But if your mindset says that I'm going to get through this because I'm a possibility person, then you take very different actions. And so I know at a time of crisis, this seems very different, but one of my favorite sayings is there is no healthcare crisis. There's only a lifestyle crisis. So we're going to talk about this tonight. We're also going to talk about if we have different strategies, then ladies and gentlemen, if we do everything that everybody else is doing, we're going to end up where everybody else is. But if we do something different, we're going to have a different outcome, right? And if we have different outcomes of our actions, we're going to have a different life. And that's what I pray for you tonight, is what you're going to get. So I think the important thing is that when we look at this, and I don't know what that looks like on your end, but from my end, it's a dark room. It's a dark room, and there's a door at the other end, and there's some light on the other side. And so, a lot of times we find ourselves in dark places. Maybe we're fighting diseases or diagnoses, whatever it is. I use this dark room as an analogy because the only way that we make a dark room lighter is not by taking away darkness. We have to open the door to let light in. See, darkness is just the absence of light, right? And just as health, like sickness is just the absence of health. We can't make somebody less sick. Does that make sense? Like we just have to actually we have to make them more healthy. That's how we get people healthy, is by, you can't make people less sick. And that's where we find this, our challenges is with our healthcare system. It's all about making you less sick, managing your condition so it doesn't get worse there. And so as we move forward tonight, we're not going to be talking about disease. We're going to be talking about simple concepts that you can apply. So we talked about lifestyle is the crisis that we're in right now. And so I'm a big person about, giving you just simple topics. And so really if you can take one thing away from tonight, this is the key to understanding everything. You're either toxic or you're deficient, meaning that either you have toxicity in your life, which is interfering with what your body, the processes in your body, or you're deficient in something. There's something that your body needs, and because you don't have it, it's not going to be able to work right. Solution, though, is simple. Just become pure and sufficient. Give your body everything that it needs and remove everything that it doesn't need. It reminds me of a story of the statue of David. And Michelangelo went to actually, who's a sculptor on it, and he didn't let anybody see the statue of David. And it was before it had been through 2 other sculptors, and they had damaged the piece of marble. And what ended up happening is that when he revealed it, the Pope was there, and he said, "Oh my gosh, this is absolutely gorgeous. How did you do it? How did you take that destroyed, that broken piece of rock that nobody'd ever want to work with, and turn it into this beautiful piece of art and this perfection of man?" And Michelangelo said, "David was always in the marble. All I had to do was remove all that was imperfect." And that's what we're talking about. You're brilliant and powerful. You're designed to be able to fight disease. You're designed to be able to fight viruses and bacteria. You're designed to be able to live an extraordinary life. And all we have to do is remove the things in your life that are interfering with your body being able to function the way that it was designed to function there. And the way that we do this is very simple. We do it through the 5 essentials of maximized living. See, a lot of times people get overcomplicated. One day you look at the newspaper, it says do this. One day of the newspaper, says do that, your friend says do this, your other friend says don't do that. It gets overwhelming, and we get overwhelmed with stuff. What do we end up doing? Nothing, right? And so for the 5 essentials is based on principles. The first one is core chiropractic. It says the principle says that your nervous system, controls the function of your entire body. The way we test this principle, you cut the nerve, guess what happens to the heart on the other end of that nerve? It stops working, right? So if you put pressure on the nerve, is that heart going to work the way that it was designed to? No, of course not. It's common sense. So what we want to look at is that we want to protect that spine. We want to protect that nervous system. The second thing we're going to talk about is nutrition, right? You can have a perfectly functioning nervous system, and that's the thing that controls your body. But it's if you don't have the components that your body needs to rebuild and repair itself, you're never going to be able to have the body that you want. The third one is mindset. And sometimes I actually put mindset as number 1, but today we're going to talk about mindset as being number 3. But the mindset, knowing that your body doesn't need any help, it just doesn't need any interference. That you have an intelligence in your body that tells your heart to beat, your lungs to breathe, and so that intelligence is way smarter than any doctor in the world. And what I mean by that is that there's not one doctor that knows what one of your cells need, much less all of your cells need. And so, there was a study once that talked about a newspaper article I read a long time ago, and it was called the day the doctors went on strike. And this happened in Israel. And when the doctors went on strike, the death rate went down. How is that possible that all the doctors stopped working and the death rate went down? Well, I just want to remind you, is the best doctor in the world is on the inside of you, okay? Number 4 is oxygen and exercise. Look, if you don't breathe, you suffocate. If you're not moving, your cells are not getting oxygen, and they're suffocating there. When you move, it pumps lymph nodes, which gets white blood cells to areas of infection, but your body literally suffocates when we don't exercise. So this is a genetic requirement that we have, not an option. The next one is minimizing toxins. So the key to the key about minimizing toxins is very simple. Our nerves don't have any protection over toxins. They were never designed to be exposed to toxins. When they're exposed to toxins, they put your body into a constant state of stress, which creates subluxation patterns, which creates a downward spiral in your body there. In addition, toxins will actually bind to receptors, and they'll interfere with your cells actually working right. And so that's why we see so many problems with toxicity. And the number one toxin that most people have is the medications that they're taking. And this is just a really important point right now, is that healthy people don't take medications and sick people do. And I'm just being straight up with you right now. If you're taking medications, there's something that's being interfered with, which is creating that symptom. And what we have to do is to find that symptom rather than just covering up that symptom. And so my job, you'll see in the office, we have, tons, like thousands of empty pill bottles all around the office. And it's not because we take them from people, but what happens is people give them to us as they get off their medications because they're getting healthier there. So there's a couple of key components that we're really going to talk about tonight. Number 1 is your nervous system. We're going to talk about the Align Your Health book. We're also going to be talking about your nutrition plan there, and we're also going to be talking about Max T3. So and what's coming next, for those of you that are just starting care, you're going to be having a one-on-one consultation. I want you to bring your notebook and your pen. I want you to be thinking of your health goals here, because in this time, what we're going to do is we're going to set up action steps for you to be able to be able to hit your health goals there. Read Appendix 1 and 2 in the Align Your Health book. And in fact, my suggestion to you is that write out your health goals. Read your Align Your Health book. You have more than enough time right now. And then what happens is we'll come into your consultation, and what it'll do is it'll give us an opportunity to really take it up to the next level there, and to really set some action plans. Because it's not that you go through something; It's how you come out of something that's most important. And that's really what we're going to be focusing on right now, is how we come out of this. Yeah, let's stabilize our lives, let's rebuild our lives, and let's come out of this thing at better than we went into before. Because I can tell you, if you don't have goals, you don't have a plan right now, what's going to happen is you're going to come out of this and you're going to look at your body and you're going to look at your health, and literally everything is on hold, and we're going to have a downward spiral. So after this, email us at info@drtjosborne.com, and we'll set up your consultation for your Better Results Faster consultation. So the big thing is that there's so much stuff to do. So what we're going to talk about tonight is really how to prioritize. And obviously the first thing that we always prioritize is our nervous system. We have to prioritize the nervous system, because you can go days without food. You can go, weeks without food, days without water. You can go minutes without air, but you can't go 1 second without a properly functioning nervous system. So that's why we put all our number one emphasis initially is about getting your nervous system working right. We know that when we adjust somebody, their brain starts working better. It increases the function of what's called the prefrontal cortex by 40%. On average, which is amazing when you think about it, because that's your executive decision maker, the things that help you, the part of your brain that helps you make good decisions there. We know that the studies show that when people get adjusted, it reduces stress, which reduces cortisol. Cortisol suppresses your immune system. Cortisol causes a downward spiral and literally destroys organs there over a long period of time. Yeah, on the short term, it's great for you. It saves your life. But on the long term, when we have chronic stress on the nervous system, we start to see people start developing symptoms. Things, at first it might start off, if you look down at C6, or their neck and their muscles and their shoulders might start to get tight. But then they might start finding that they have neck pain eventually, and they start having pain in the upper arm. And then a lot of times they'll come into us and they'll have be taking aspirin for that, and a Tylenol, and finally they get, they're like, I can't do this anymore. And then we start finding they have a chronic cough. This is a very important chart to understand, because the first thing that happens is that you have nervous system interference. The second thing that it does is it affects the function of the area that it controls. And the very last thing that shows up is the symptom. So by the time you feel symptoms, it means that there's been damage there for a long period of time. And that's why in our office, we're a corrective care office. Our job is to make as much correction as possible. And your job is to participate all out there. And that's why when you first came in, you got a home care kit. These are things that you're going to do at home to be able to support your adjustments in between. This is the most important tool that you can use for your making your spinal corrections, because what we have to realize is that our spine is just a reflection of the things that we do on a repetitive basis, how we sit, how we sleep, how we stand. And so if you come in here and you get adjusted and you go back and you do all those things the same way that you've been doing them for the last 20 years, of course, you're going to end up the way that you were before. And so what we need to do is the home care, or what we call the holding care, is designed to stabilize your spine and to put new patterns into it, so your nervous system learns what normal is, so that you can hold your adjustments longer, so that your brain can communicate with your body better, so that you can be healthier for a long period of time. So make sure you go over the resources. Anytime you have questions, go to drtjosborne.com. We have the resources up there under patient resources, which is right up in this area here. And it'll have all of your home care exercises. Unfortunately, right now we're closed for some of our pre and post adjustment protocols. But everybody will receive a vibration protocol. And one of the reasons why we use that, not only does it increase growth hormone, which is your body's repair hormone, in some studies by as high as 361%. It increases our testosterone, which is it'll actually reduce stress-reducing hormones by 32%. So literally standing on your vibration platform has been shown to reduce cortisol levels by a third. Imagine that, the thing that breaks your body down from stress reduces by a third. It increases blood flow, and they find that just in studies that back pain reduces by 66%. So I think one of the things, our goal on this is every single time that vibration contracts, it causes the muscles to get stronger. We'll use body weights on you to be able to strengthen you into that correct position there. So I just ask for during this time that we make sure that we're what's the word? We just be patient. okay? And we'll get there. We'll just do the very best. But the most important thing that we can do right now is your adjustments and do your home care. All of you have received a wobble disc, and this is to me, is the single most important part of your home care exercises. And the reason being is that the wobble discs do tremendous things there. They pump what's called glucose-rich cerebral spinal fluid to your brain, and that allows your brain to function better. It pumps the diaphragm and oxygenates the lungs. When the studies have found when you do these full-range exercises, it actually helps to soften up the disc, so that's what allows the spine to change shape. These full-range exercises, they keep your disc supple and hydrated. And they increase oxygenation and blood, and they stimulate your metabolism, and which really helps in the prevention of disease there. So, what I want you to understand is when we give you the wobble chair, the wobble disc exercises, they weren't just a good idea; they're a great idea. Because the thing is by the time a person is 12 years old, your discs and your ligaments and your cartilage are no longer have a direct blood supply. So the only way that you get nutrition to those discs is through movement. So, look, if you have your children under care, fantastic. Make sure they keep doing their wobble chair exercises. If they're not under care, make sure you get them checked to see what their nervous system looks like. We'll get them the right exercises so that we can protect their spine, we can protect their health. So how long and how often? So you've initially been given, based on your spine, a certain amount of wobble chair exercises. There was an interesting study in which they actually followed people, and they found that people that did 500 days in a row of their wobble chair exercises, and they did 120 reps, 120 cycles of their wobble chair exercises. What they found is that it was able to start to regenerate degenerative discs there. So if it can regenerate degenerative discs, imagine what it does to healthy discs. So let's talk about mindset for a second, because a lot of times people say, well, I just can't get this done. I haven't found the time to do my home care. I don't have the time to take care of myself. Look, there's really, the only thing that we have in our life is really excuses or results, okay? So what I want you to understand is that what we do in our office is very different. And this is very apparent at this time in history, because we start to look at, there's two different models of healthcare. On the right, we have what's called the pathogenic approach. There's a bug, a virus, a bacteria. There's something out there to get you. And it makes you scared. And it's like, if, this thing's going to get you and you're powerless there. And it's focused on waiting till there's a pathology, waiting till there's a problem, finding the correct treatment to suppress that problem, and we grow up being afraid of symptoms and sickness. On the other hand, is what's called the salutogenic approach. We trust in the body's wisdom, and we realize is that our job is to help the body adapt to its environment and to create balance and healing in our body and to focus on regenerating there. And there's no fear in that process, because we realize that your body is designed to do all of those things on a consistent basis. In the pathogenic approach, it's about regulating and controlling tactics. And now, I don't know if anybody's at home right now and they're experiencing regulating and controlling tactics, but this is a great example of the pathogenic approach. We have these fear tactics, and we fear the pathology, we fear the sickness, and then we regulate and we control. Sometimes we'll regulate and control with medication. So we fear having a heart attack, so we regulate you with your blood pressure medication. That's and then if your blood pressure is normal, then you're healthy. Well, here's the thing. What we realize is that just because your blood pressure is normal because you're taking blood pressure medication doesn't mean you're healthy. There's a reason why your blood pressure was high. And so what the salutogenic approach is, it encourages, we support you in that process. We support you in your learning and understanding and finding out getting to the cause of what's going on with your body rather than treating the symptom. The pathogenic approach, it's a treatment. There's a treatment for a single isolated condition. You go to the doctor, you have high blood pressure, he gives you a treatment for the high blood pressure. You go to the doctor, you have diabetes, he gives you a treatment for the diabetes. You have a doctor you go to the doctor and you have constipation, he gives you a treatment for the constipation. The salutogenic approach, on the other hand, is very different. It looks at you as a whole person. It looks at you as rather than just parts. It looks at you as that you can't change one thing in the body without it changing everything in the body. The pathogenic approach treats symptoms, like I said before, and And we try to change the body to have the desired outcome. So the problem is that when you're treating symptoms and you're changing the body, guess what's going to happen? You're always going to have side effects, right? Because the body is way more intelligent than we've been led to believe there. Our job really in this process is getting to the cause. We want to enhance the function of your body so that it can do what it was designed to do. You know, one is the doctor tries to fix you, right? That's the pathogenic approach. You go to the doctor, you want him to fix you. And that's what we call event-based healthcare. Somebody has a specific event, they're exposed to a specific virus, and then all of a sudden, you know, the doctor fixes that person there, as opposed to a salutogenic approach is I'm supporting you in the process, meaning that that instead of an event, we realize that before a person gets sick, they have to be unhealthy. Their immune system has to be weak. We have to look at the stresses and all the things that were in their life that suppressed their immune system that made them vulnerable there. And if we support you in the process of learning how to be to be able to stay healthy, healthy people don't get sick. And I'll repeat that: healthy people don't get sick. The pathogenic approach is what we call an outside-in approach, below up, meaning that it's how do we go from fix you from the outside, give you a pill, a potion, or a lotion, or a surgery, something from the outside, as opposed, and that says that man is smarter than the power that made the body, as opposed to chiropractic being our maximized living model of healthcare, being that, look, it's above, down, inside out. From, you know, there's a power that made your body, and it flows down your spinal cord and your nerves out to every single tissue, cell, and organ in your body, and your body's going to heal from the inside out. Cuts don't heal from the outside in, they heal from the inside out. We just have to remember that. So that's the difference. And so by being here, you get the chance to be able to choose whether you're going to live your life in this pathogenic model of healthcare or the salutogenic model of healthcare. All right, let's move on here. So in mindset, I think one of the biggest things is what we call war planning. War planning is all about routines. And you'll see this is, you know, one of my my war plan, what my life looks like here. And what I do is I put together times in my day for certain things. When do I spend time with my kids? When do I take a shower in the morning? You know, when do I wake up? When do I, you know, have breakfast? When do I exercise? And what happens is a lot of times we get to the end of the day and we never did the things that we wanted to do that make us better people. And so what I'm going to encourage you to do is start war planning, especially now, because you wake up in the morning, we have nothing to do, and then we waste the entire day. And as Seneca says, the most valuable, people get to the end of their life and they're afraid of dying because they've never truly lived. They give up their time which is their most valuable possession. And the problem is that at the end of our lives, when all we want is time, all we have is money. And so we give our time to people and things that we would never give our money to. And unfortunately, we can get more money, but we can never get more time. So I think the biggest thing is owning the morning. What I find is that when you own the morning, then you own the day. So, you know, look, if this looks too complicated for you, just start writing in when you're going to wake up, when you're going to, you know, obviously go to sleep, meaning that I always find the day starts the night before when you go to sleep. So if you stay up too late the night before, you're not going to have a good day the next day there. But we start with the end. We start with the morning, and we start building our day how we want it to have, and focusing on positivity. Because what happens is if we're moving towards something, if we have a plan in place, then what happens is that then what we'll be able to do is to be able to feel like we've accomplished something at the end of the day. So that's one of the biggest things that I want you to look at on mindset. Now we're going to talk about nutrition. And this is something that people get really fired up about, and I'm going to do a little bit of a deep dive right now. But the big thing is there's really three things that we want to look at. We want to change our meats and our dairy. We need to change what do we call the dirty dozen. And we're going to talk about the supplements, the daily essential supplements that people should be taking, not just now, but every single day there. So the big thing about changing our meats and dairy is, look, what do cows eat right now? They eat grain. Grain creates inflammation. Inflammation, according to Time Magazine, is the #1 cause of cancer, Alzheimer's, and heart disease there. So if we want to avoid those top 3 killers, it's probably one of the things that we really want to look at there. Inflammation is the thing that causes pain in your body. So if you're looking at causing, if you have pain and you want to get away from it, we need to look at changing our meats. And so the number one thing that we want to look at is grass-fed. We want to look at free-range chickens. See, healthy cows eat grass. Sick cows sit in a feedlot there. And so we want to change our meats. I always tell people, look, if you think healthy meat is too expensive, I'd rather have you not eat meat than eat bad meat, because most of the meats that we eat, they have antibiotics in them, which damage our gut, which damages our digestion. They also have tremendous amounts of steroids and things along those lines, which will create and hormones in them, which will disrupt the hormones in our body. So the big thing is that we can't undo bad meat there. So if you're trying to detox and take supplements and you're eating bad meat, cows do what we call bioaccumulate. Whatever they eat on a regular basis, it accumulates in their body. And what accumulates in their body eventually accumulates in your body there. Like I said, they feed cows grain for one reason, and that's to make them fat. So guess what happens when we get fed grain? We get fat. So we're no different than a cow. And so I always talk about, we want to make sure that, look, we want to reduce the sugars, the grains, the pastas, the cereals, all those different things that make us fat. And we want to eat healthy cows there. Okay. Now, the second thing is the dirty dozen. And so the environmental working group, this was 2018. I should have updated it. I'm sorry, but they just came out with their new list recently of what's called the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. And the biggest challenge I get with people saying, I can't eat right. Does that make sense? It's just too expensive. I can't eat organic. You don't have to eat organic for everything, but definitely you want to look at what's called the Dirty Dozen. And these are the things that have the highest concentration of pesticides on them, highest GMO concentration, the vegetables that you literally need to eat organic, because it'll create damage in your body there. Clean 15, you don't need to go buy organic avocados. Boom, right there, I just saved you a ton of money, right? Things that have a rind or a covering on them, you typically don't have to eat organic there. You can, if you have unlimited resources, by all means do that. But make sure that whenever you're buying the Dirty Dozen, you always buy organic there. Clean 15, just make sure you wash them, okay? So the vitamin the last thing is what we call our vitamin priority, okay? And so there's what we call the daily essentials in our office. And these are the essential things that you just don't get enough of in your life. So what we've really looked at after doing thousands of metabolics tests, and realized that the things that most people are deficient in, and these are things that we look at a multivitamin. We know that if you eat, you have to eat 8 oranges right now to get the same amount of vitamin C that your grandparents ate from 1 orange. Right? Our soil is deficient and depleted there, and so most people, even if you're eating a healthy diet, are going to be deficient. And if you're deficient in something, your body's not going to be able to work right there. So that's why we want to make sure you have a whole food multivitamin. And by the way, Centrum Silver is not a healthy multivitamin. Just because it was made in a lab doesn't mean that's healthy. You want to make sure your vitamins are whole foods there. B complex. These are your stress vitamins there. Those are essential for metabolic functioning, from the mitochondria, the powerhouses in the cells. And so many times if we have damaged guts, we're going to be deficient in our B vitamins there. But at the same time, we want to make sure that that as far as your B vitamins or your stress vitamins there, most people are depleted in their B12. So that's why we put a B complex in there. I don't typically recommend people take different Bs because they all work together. And so a lot of times if you're taking too much one, it'll create an imbalance. So that's why we have B complex. Optimal omega. Optimal omega is designed for a healthy diet. It's designed for somebody with a healthy lifestyle, meaning that you need to have omega-3s and you need to have a ratio of omega-3s. I just did a talk the other day online, and we were talking about ratios of omega-3s to omega-6s. And I think one of the studies was talking about if your omega-3s are, the ratio is like 15-1, you're going to be depressed. But when we have too many omega-6s, which are coming from processed foods, they're coming from breads, pastas, cereals, they're coming from bad fats, like canola oil and like soybean oil and all these different things, creates an imbalance in our body, which creates inflammation. Magnesium is absolutely magnificent, and it's not only is it magnificent, it's absolutely necessary because your cells need it to function. And vitamin D3 is huge because it's the sunshine vitamin, but it's your antidepressant, it's an anti-inflammatory. Your immune system can't even function if your vitamin D3 levels are low. And then with probiotics to be able to help replenish the gut, because we're exposed, especially now, everybody's using all these antimicrobial things on their skin and on their hands, and it's just killing and destroying our gut bacteria. So there's 2 different daily essentials that we have, and the first one is the daily essentials for men. It's specifically designed for men to deal with prostate issues and to deal with testosterone. There's the daily essentials for women, which is specifically designed to deal with women issues there. So the first thing I always tell people, like, don't even talk to me about supplementing for anything else unless you're getting the daily essentials there. Number 2 is at a time like this, what we find is that vitamin D3 is probably a good idea to start taking extra vitamin D3 because it is your cofactor in your immune system. It's really important to make sure that we're taking enough of that. Typically, we want to take about 1,000 units for every 35 pounds of body weight there. I'm personally right now during this time to keep my immune system strong, taking about 20,000 units a day. So during this time, I would definitely suggest that people supplement with extra vitamin D3 at this time. And this is really kind of an interesting chart because if you look down at the bottom right here where this mouse cursor is moving, that people think we take vitamin D3 for bone health, okay? And so as long as you're above 18 as far as your vitamin D3, you're not going to get what's called rickets. But if you look all the way over here, there's a magic number that's around 55. As long as you're above 55, all these other colors are all what we call the cancer or the disease zone. So, you know, if you're at 66, you're above. Most people don't get diabetes when they're at, you know, their vitamin B is, I mean, type 1 diabetes, because it's an immune issue, it's an autoimmune issue there, it helps with their type 1 diabetes. You know, fractures go down when you're up here. So what we want to look at is we want to get our vitamin D levels as high as we possibly can. As I was talking about earlier, the optimal omega, and I don't have this slide up here, but in our office, we also, for people that are in inflammatory places, we have a liquid omega, or we have a highly concentrated form of omega that we use for people that don't want to take pills, don't want to take anti-inflammatories, which are, you know, damage your immune system, they damage your liver, they damage how our brain thinks and works there. They damage the discs in our spine. That's not what they want to do. And so we have what's called the pure omega, which is a highly concentrated form, which many of our patients during their initial phase of care in our office will use to be able to jumpstart their body and get it back to where it should have been. Don't forget about the kids. And this is an important thing. A lot of times parents will buy supplements for themselves and they forget that their kids are growing at a much faster rate than they are. And so what's important about that is that, you know, when we talked about the key is toxicity or deficiency. If your kids are deficient in something, it's going to have a much more profound impact there. The Max Kids Omega is designed specifically for brain health, to be able to help with the developing brain. There's different supplements that children need in different vitamin form there. And so we want to make sure our kids are taking their nutrients. In fact, I would prefer the kids take the nutrients over the parents, because the kids, it's going to have a greater impact on them. And the other thing is probiotics. You know, it's absolutely essential for that, in my opinion, especially at this day and time, that the kids take probiotics. And the reason being is that there's a book called The Dirt Cure. And it says when we were kids, we used to go out and we used to run around, we used to get dirty, we used to eat our food with dirt. A lot of the microbes that populate our gut actually come from the dirt outside. But because, you know, we got a legion of moms wiping their kids' hands and, you know, wiping their faces and making sure they're sparkling clean, and, you know, they don't even let them, you know, they don't even let them enforce the 5-second rule if something drops on the ground, because we're so afraid of the bugs that they never get the bugs, and they have all kinds of digestive issues. They have all kinds of learning issues. They have all kinds of immune issues and all kinds of inflammatory issues. So these are the daily essentials that I think are important for kids growing up right now. The other thing is that, you know, I put, as far as vitamin priority, I I think that a lot of times it's hard to get a good quality source of protein, like healthy protein. And so in our office, we have two proteins that we have there. They're both chocolate and they're vanilla. Some people, like the grass-fed whey protein, I find is much better for people that are trying to detoxify. My Pure Path protein, it has about 21 grams of hydrolyzed beef protein in there. And what I find is that is great for people that are athletes, that they're building. People want to have, a healthy lifestyle. Sometimes people have a preference for one or the other there. And so I'm going to suggest that, if you're choosing bad protein and you want to stop doing that, start supplementing yourself with healthy proteins there. So we really, when you're looking in the Align Your Health book, you're going to find that there's two different things. There's what we call the advanced plan and the core plan. So the core plan is basically where most of our families want to lie. They want it's nutrition for healthy families. It's for health maintenance. It's about preventing disease. And if somebody wants to lose a little bit of weight, it's about moderate weight loss there. The other thing though is we have the advanced plan, and most of our patients they'll go in between the advanced plan and the core plan, but the advanced plan is specifically designed. It's a cellular healing plan to help your body heal and repair the hormones, and especially if somebody has weight loss resistance. They've tried to lose weight for years and years and years, and they just can't there. People with inflammation, and pain, and other diseases like heart disease and cancer. Most of our patients that are experiencing have been diagnosed with cancer. This is where they lie. Or people that are really looking at complete health restoration with weight loss. This is, we've had people lose hundreds of pounds. I mean, and I'm not talking about multiple people. I'm talking about one person losing hundreds of pounds just by eating on the advanced plan. And the protocols are there in your Align Your Health book there. So here's how you know if you should be on the advanced plan. Your doctor told you that you're high anything or low anything, that when we have, you have diabetes or high blood pressure or heart issues or toxicity issues, or you have inflammatory diseases, allergies, any of our kids that have, aren't neurotypical right now, cancer and digestive issues. This is just a small list of people that it's an indication, but you'll see on the bottom right, the number one indication is that if you're taking medications, that means you got a problem, and we got to get you healthy to be able to get off of those things. And so that, like I said, we're going to work on that, but you have to do your part. You got to read your books, and you got to put up your goals and let us know what you really want to do. Because, a lot of times, there's things that we want to help you with, but we can't, because you don't really want our help with it. But and the quality of your care in this office is going to be based on the quality of our communication. So if we don't know what you want, we can't help you. And then we're just going to assume that you want to have extraordinary, vibrant health, and you want to get off all of your medications, and you want to be able to live to 120 years old. That's our assumption when you come into the office. If that's not what you want, let us know, okay? And now we're not going to get it overnight, but we're going to take it one step at a time. So let's talk about nutrition, some of the three simple changes, basic changes. We got to get off our sugars and our carbohydrates. That's a massive thing, eliminating our grains and our sugars and minimizing our fruits. So this is really if you want to live on the advanced plan right now. You can keep your berries and your grapefruit and Granny Smith apples. Those are things that have a very low sugar content there. But the main thing is I saw something once that said, and I read it that said, they gave people a choice of, they gave them a candy bar, and then they gave them a slice of bread, and they watched to see which one would raise the blood sugar faster, and it was a slice of bread. So we don't love our bread. We love what the bread does for us. It gives us that sugar rush there. So we got to change our sugars and our carbohydrates. We talked about, we got to change our proteins and replace the bad proteins with natural ones there, whether it be, grass-fed or free-range chickens or free-range eggs, or we want to replace that with like a whey protein or a Pure Path protein there. And really, most importantly, we got to remove the bad fats and replace them with good ones there. So I guess it comes down is that what are you? And this is how you really know what the steps that you're going to take. Are you a sugar burner or a fat burner? A sugar burner is somebody that really relies on energy. And the problem is those are the people that you think about eating a piece of pie and you gain 5 pounds, right? You're barely eating anything and you continue to gain weight there. You have these highs and lows in your day. You're cranky. You keep on thinking about your next meal. You're always hungry there. And no matter how much you cut back, you basically can't lose weight. And it's just because your body's forgotten how to burn fat there. And so I think, a lot of times the sugar burners are the ones that have sugar cravings all the time. Now, a fat burner is great. By the way, sugar burners, your brain typically feels cloudy. You feel like you, hold on one second. So your brain feels cloudy. There we go. Sorry, that was a phone call coming in. I should have turned that off. But there we go. And your brain feels cloudy there. The other thing is that we want to be able to teach you how to be a fat burner. You're burning fat in your sleep, and the big key is you'll get more energy from your food there. So we really want to turn you into a fat burner there, and that's how we actually become one of the goals of the advanced plan there. So is there anything worse than sugar? Yeah, the thing that's worse than sugar is actually all the the artificial sweeteners. Those things are neurotoxins, and they're going to have a dramatic impact on your body. And they're literally, you only put 2 things in there: a nutrient or a toxin. And I think the big thing is that these are massive toxins right now. So just stay away from it. Anything that's sweet or designed to be sweet, to be able to be in this place, you want to stay away from there. Now, this is what a typical breakfast can look like, right? On the right is the typical American breakfast. On the left is the typical advanced plan breakfast. You can have your eggs and your smoothies with your healthy berries. There's, at lunch you have snacks and carrots and, cashew butter. All these things and the recipes are in your Align Your Health book there. So make sure you read that and look at that. I find that the biggest thing that will help us be successful is actually meal prep. So what happens with meal prep, and and there's all different types of places that you can look around, but preparing for the week is going to make the biggest difference between whether you're successful or not. But I think what I have found, a lot of times we have so many dysfunctional patterns. What I've done is I put together what I call the 7-day health reboot. And you should have gotten a copy of this when you, and all the resources are there on the page. And what the 7-day health reboot is designed to turn you from being a sugar burner to a fat burner. And what that means is that we put together a process that addresses the 2 main components, deficiency and toxicity. And in doing that, we'll use what we call our cell detox in the morning, which pulls the toxins out of the cells. We have a daily defense, which reduces the oxidation there, and the body detox, which pulls it out of your body at night. You'll use like one of the whey proteins or a perfect protein, and you'll use a highly concentrated food source called Green Vibrance. And you'll have shakes for 4 shakes a day, and it's not just about shakes. You can eat as many raw green organic vegetables, and then drink at least half your body weight in ounces. And then the other thing is we want to keep reading your book at that time. We've enclosed the whole plan on that page. If you don't get it, let us know. We'll make sure we email it to you. Just email us at info@drtjosborne.com. This is powerful because what we find is that we found in the past, people have lost a tremendous amount of weight, but their brain starts working again. Their body starts working again. They start feeling better again. So I'm going to encourage you, if you don't know what to do, you're overwhelmed with where to start, this is the best place to start there. Next thing is we're going to talk about oxygen. We just had a class here outside, social distancing. We had 4 or 5 people. Usually we might have 35 or 40 people doing surge. But what we teach is a special type of exercise, and it's called Max T3. And it's designed to increase our growth hormone. There's only 2 times that growth hormone is produced, at night and in the day. At night when you're sleeping, or when you're exercising at a high intensity there. The nice thing is that Max T3, it decreases cortisol. And the best part is it has what's called the afterburn effect, which means that for the next 36 hours, if you do a high intensity exercise workout, your body will be burning fat if you don't put any carbohydrates into your body at that time. And the other thing is if you have diabetes issues, it'll increase your sensitivity to insulin, so which will mean that you'll reduce your your blood sugar levels there. So you should have all gotten we've changed the hours, and I apologize about this just because of what's going on in the world. But we do Monday, Wednesdays right now out there. But I'm going to encourage you, like if some of you might have a T3 video out there, just go into the back of the T3 video, go to maxt3.com and enter the code that's on the back of the video. And there's digital workouts there. You can watch it from your phone. You can take it anywhere there. Especially have your family do their workouts, their T3 workouts there. When things get back to normal around here, we'll be doing them 3 days a week outside, and you can come out, work out with your friends. But really the big key is just a 12-minute workout. And that's the beauty of it. People say, oh, how can I get a workout in 12 minutes? I promise you, if you follow one of the T3 workouts, I promise you that you will be exhausted, sweating, and sore the next day. Last thing we're going to talk about is minimizing toxins. And this is one of the first steps that we want to do is we want to have a medicine cabinet makeover. What we want to do is we want to look at the Environmental Working Group has an app, and you can look at it on your phone, Google or iPhone, and it's called Skin Deep, or they have another one called Think Dirty. And what you start doing is you start taking your take a picture of the barcodes on the side of your products, that your personal care products, your cleaning products at home, some of your food and prep products, and scan the barcode, and it'll give you a ranking of 1 to 10. 10 is the most toxic, 1 is the least toxic. And the lower number that you have on average, the healthier your body is going to be. And most of these things there are carcinogens that are in there. There are neurotoxins that damage your brain. They create inflammation. And even the problem with toxins, you can't see them, right? But they have an effect. It's interesting that for years I've been telling people, hey, you need to change your toxics, and because they can't see it or feel it. It's kind of like this virus that's out there, right? But what's interesting is people are more afraid of viruses now because they think that they can die from it, but they don't realize that the virus, a lot of the toxins that are in there are just as bad as a virus there. So the other thing is water. We just make sure you're not drinking water from the faucet. Make sure that you're actually taking your water, and putting it through a filter. I prefer a reverse osmosis filter there. A lot of times, that's a good step there. We can also have a pH-based water, like a Kangen water, which is fantastic also there. But this is the first thing is we've got to stop putting toxins into our body there. Last thing that I really want to talk to you about, or one of the last things, is what we call crisis. Okay, some of us might be in inflammation, some of us might have pain. There is no such thing as pain, there's only inflammation. So we have our crisis care protocol in the office, and that is designed to reduce inflammation in your body. And so we use something called Inflametics, and you should have the protocol in your handouts there. We also use the Pure Omega, which is a high quality, high density, highly concentrated form of omega-3, which is massively anti-inflammatory. And we have an Inflametics cream, which will allow to get in there to help your body start to heal there. And so what I want to encourage you to do is to actually, if you're feeling like you're having to take ibuprofen, if you're feeling like you're having to take painkillers, and realizing that when we take them, it interferes with your healing, and you want to do something different, make sure you talk to one of my team about your crisis care protocol there. So I guess really what it comes down to is that our job right now is I want you to have an empowered life. I want you to have an empowered, healthy life. I want you to live naturally the way that you were designed to live. And so our mission really in this office is to lead a revolution, right? A revolution means like coming back around to the way things were and the way things should have been. And there's what we call holistic living, meaning living a whole life there. So I'm going to, I just want to let you guys know I think what's important is that I know we went through a lot of stuff, and it's a learning process that we're going through. And I want to encourage you to take a deep dive and to really own this information there. Because if you do this, you're going to get better results faster. And the quicker we get results, the healthier that we get, the more of an impact that we're going to have in this world, not only for ourselves, but for our families. And this is how we start taking people from a place of fear to faith in their body, to actually remembering who they were, who they are, whose they are, and what they were designed to be, and rather than living in fear and panic and holding up in our houses because we just don't trust our bodies anymore. You guys, this is Dr. Osborne. I just want to thank you for spending some time with me. Commit yourself to getting better results faster. Do your, set your goals. And then let's set up your consultation time so we can really get your plan in action there. But have a blessed day.